What's so hard to solve over there at Maranello? Why can't they? What's what is there a panacea? Is there such a thing for Maranello?
Well, I thought there was, and I thought it was Freddie Vasseur. I thought he would come in and be very clinical and very organized and have a very clean mind on how to go motor racing and say, keep your mouth shut. We're hiring Adrian Newey. Nothing else matters. That's the number one priority. And until you got that done, he didn't want any talk from anybody. Then when you got Adrian, you then build the team around Adrian. He brings his 30 odd people with him. And then you think about, do you want to keep Carlos Sainz? Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job, winning races, fits in well with Charles now, blah, blah, blah. We got long corner driver, short corner driver, really good combination. Let's go. But he didn't do any of that. He went the other way. Sort of wishy-washy, tried to get Adrian, but then didn't. Got Lewis Hamilton to replace Carlos Sainz. And here we are, a mess. So I don't know, I'm very disappointed that he didn't hire Adrian. And it's a bit like first corner in the sprint. Who do you blame for that? Do you blame Oscar for triggering it? Do you blame Fernando for being there? It's a bit like the commentator on the World Rally Championship when Ogier hit the tree on Friday, or was it Saturday morning? I can't remember. And he said, "Oh well, if that tree hadn't been there, that wouldn't have had a shunt." Yeah, okay. So it's a bit like that, isn't it? He should have predicted these things, and he's been around long enough, Freddie, to know what it takes to win a world championship.
Yeah.
And if you've got Adrian Newey, it's not a guarantee, but it's a pretty good chance you're going to be in the top three and you're going to win a lot of races anyway. Didn't do it. That's the problem at Ferrari. And the not winning championships in this phase, it's happening for different reasons than we've seen in the history of the sport. I mean, when they have won championships, you go back to 52, 53, they kind of persuaded the FIA to go to Formula 2 regulations because Ferrari had a Formula 2 car ready to go and Ascari blitzed it. There's 61, similar thing. They had that lovely little V6 engine ready to go, blew all the climax engines apart and won the championship in 61. 64, it was a very good time for Formula One. It was very competitive and there were a lot of teams on climax engines and there was a lot of unreliability as a result because everybody was very stretched on all these different teams that were running. And Ferrari did a good job with reliability and John Surtees did a great job in the car and won the championship. And then they fell off really badly again. Strikes were always an issue, politics. And then they hired Luca Montezemolo and they got Nicky and they realized that testing was the new thing. And they built the test track at Fiorano and Nicky did 1 million Grand Prix before the season even started. And all of a sudden they had mega reliability. They had Mauro Foggieri at his very best with the flat 12 engine, transverse gearbox in 75 and won the championship easily. And then that kind of continued through to Jody in 79. The T3 was a good car, Gilles. Then it all fell away until they got Michael to come in a different era to bring in his lot. A little bit like Adrian Newey would have brought 30 odd people to Maranello. Michael brought a whole bunch of people to the race team, not necessarily to the design team, but they had Ross Brawn there on top. He was really good as well. Jean Todt, you had everybody who was good in Formula One basically was there. Adrian was still, it's not quite the Adrian Newey is now, but he wasn't bad. And that continued for 4 or 5 years. They brilliantly got Bridgestone almost exclusively, which is how Michael won those string of championships. So that accounted for that. And then they've kind of been meandering ever since with good drivers, lots of money, great facilities, but lacking on the engineering side because because the days of Mauro Foggieri kind of ended, sadly. But as good as he was, he never really adapted to ground effect. And they've never really had a decent engineering department since then. That's the problem. And they could have had it once with Adrian about 5, 6, 7 years ago now. And again, more recently, last winter, they could have got him and didn't. And Freddie's words at the time were, we're not going to hire Adrian Newey. We're going to continue to develop the car in-house, and I will be taking a bigger role on the engineering side of the car. And those words have come back to haunt him, I think.
Yeah.
And believe me, the Aston Martin Honda next year will be a very, very quick car.
Tell me what you know, Peter, because I'm hearing similar things that they'll be right there.
I don't know anything more than you. I just know that with Andy Cowell running the Honda side of things, with Adrian and Adrian doing the car and the facilities and the money they've got, how can it not be a great Grand Prix car? You know, they've got everything, all the ingredients are lined up. You couldn't have two better people than Andy Cowell and Adrian Newey.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus maybe Christian Horner as well now. Depending on
but I mean, you can have Ollie Oakes. You can have a number of very good team managers in there. That's not a difficult job at all. Well, you got to have a talent, but the fact that Christian may or may not be there is irrelevant. The point is, it's Andy Cowell and Adrian Newey. That's the point. You could bring Tom McCullough back from wherever they squeezed him sideways in Aston Martin, get him to run the team. He did the same job as a Christian Horner, and in fact, they probably should do that. But they probably won't.
No.
But yeah, that's where they're at, and they've got a great team because they've got Fernando Alonso, who's still very quick, and they got Lance Stroll in the other car, which is perfect because that guarantees all the money. A and B, he's going to go quite well in an Adrian car. Even he's going to be able to drive it quite well and get the odd podium, maybe even luck into a win or two.
Yeah.
But it's a well balanced team. It's a great team for Fernando.